We're making progress. So today I'm joining you from my garden. I wanted to give you a little update on how everything is going and what we've got going on. I will say we are behind schedule of where I wanted to be. Just because, one, it stayed colder kind of long and it was hard to get out here and actually work the ground and do stuff because it was just cold. And also we were out of town and just the way stuff was lining up, it didn't fit in with my garden plan. But I just tried to be flexible and not worry about it too much and just go with the flow. So this past weekend we got so much done. So behind me we have the garden space, and this was the thing that I was worried about the most. So we expanded the garden. We basically made it 3 times bigger. So if I back up here, you can see it starts over there at that edge. The old garden ended about right here. And now we've added on all this extra on this end. And then also we've gone back, we've doubled it going backwards. So by adding all that, it's about 3 times as big, and we have a lot of space to do stuff. So we also had to put in a new fence because we had to pull up the fence from the old garden. So what we've done is chicken wire, which we like this method, T-post and chicken wire, and then what we do is we actually dig a trench around, and then we take the chicken wire and loop it down in the trench, and so that creates a little bit of a barrier for any little burrowing animals that want to try to get in the garden from underneath. That helps stop them a little bit. Hopefully. We didn't have any problem last year, but part of me feels like with the garden being this much bigger, maybe it'll be a little more tempting for the critters. I don't know, but hopefully we don't have any problems with that, at least not too much. So yeah, we dig the trench and then fill it in, and we had to do that all the way around, and it took a couple hours, but we got it all done. We also had to till up this whole area, and actually going back there was a lot of like small trees. So my husband and his dad came out here. They had to get the truck and they had a winch and all this stuff to try to pull everything up, and they worked so hard. I'm so grateful for that. They got so much done, and it looks awesome. So I'm really happy with that. I did want to try to get some mulch in as a cover for the ground. Ideally, I would have gone with a sheet mulching thing in the fall instead of tilling up the dirt. That would have been ideal, but we didn't know we were going to do this then. So we ended up rototilling it, and I want to get some mulch in just to protect it, keep the moisture in there, help it not bake out and stuff. I just don't know where I'm going to get it from. A lot of people say you can get it from tree clearing companies for free and they'll just bring it in. But I'm still working on that, and frankly, I should have been doing that a lot sooner. So we'll see. I'm still trying to figure that out. But hopefully we can get some mulch in, and then we can start putting down plants. So just a little overview. The entryway is going to be here in the middle. We're going to have corn over here, tomatoes and peppers kind of here in the front, and it's going to go all the way around. And then we'll also have the center section as well. So it'll be like a circle path around and then a center section. And actually, I want to show you the back side, so let's work our way over there. So over here on this back corner, we're going to put in some berry bushes. So they're going to line in through here and then go around the back about halfway down. And what we're actually going to do is use some wild berries that are growing like right next to the garden plot. And I just like that because 1, they're free, 2, they are wild and they're growing well right here. So I think that is a good thing, you know what I mean? Like, if they're doing well here already, I feel like moving over a few feet should be good. And also, I just like wild berries because they're something you can't get in the store. They're perfectly suited to our climate because they're growing here in our climate, and it's just something a little more fun, I think. And it's something I always remember as a kid growing up picking wild blackberries and things. It's one of my favorite memories, and that's actually why there's a blackberry in my logo, because that's something that I really love because it epitomizes everything about local food and just really being in touch with nature. So aside from all the hippie stuff, what we have is we have these plants right here. So these are wine berries, which are kind of like a wild raspberry looking thing. They're technically an invasive species, I think, but I don't care because they're delicious. They can invade wherever. I'm happy about it. So we're gonna pull up some of these, and you know, these things are crazy. They like will grow crazy. So I don't think we'll have any trouble with that. So we're gonna pull those in, and then if we work our way to the other side of the garden, so over on this side we've got some wild blackberries growing. We haven't been able to get to them really well before because this was so built up with trees and stuff before we pulled it down. So they were kind of tucked back here and I would just see them. They might be black raspberries. I don't know what they are. They're black and they looked really good. I just couldn't get at them. So now that we can, we're gonna pull these up and they'll go in with those wine berries as well. So hopefully we'll have a lot of great wild berries. And it's just fun because they're perennial, they don't require a lot of work, they'll do their thing, and berries are awesome, so the more the better, I think. And I'm hoping that we'll have enough that we can freeze them and just have a ton of this food that really isn't going to require too much work on our part compared to the more annuals and stuff like that that do require a little more effort. So thumbs up for the wild berries. Also, this is the state of the compost pile because it was over here inside where we had to put the new garden space, so we had to move it. So we've got it on this board. It's super heavy. It was like, my husband said it was awful just trying to get it out of the garden. But we need to build a compost heap area. So what we're gonna try to do is pick up some pallets at a local hardware store where you can totally get them for free, like just in the back, you just grab them. And then I've seen online where people just screw them together and make kind of like little stalls for compost. So we're gonna try to do that, and I'm really excited about it, just to have a dedicated, more contained area, because I think it will break down a lot faster and be easier to manage, because right now with just the random pile, it just kind of spreads out and it never really stacks up. So fingers crossed that that works out. Like I said, it's supposed to be easy, just some screws and some pallets. Hopefully it is as easy as people act like it is, but we'll see with that one. So we'll do one final look at the situation here. I'm really happy about it. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to start getting stuff in here. Now let's head inside and we can take a peek at all of the plants that we have started in there under the grow lights. All right, well now we're inside in front of my laundry hampers in the bedroom. And if you're wondering what like the scratch situation going on my chest is, the cat likes to sit on my shoulder sometimes, but then she slipped and it wasn't like she was trying to scratch me. It's just an accident, but it still hurt. So that's what we're working with. But yeah, so right now we've got the stuff in the bedroom under grow lights, and most things are doing well, but we did have a couple things that didn't turn out, so we'll go through it and I'll show you what's going on. So over on this end we have the squashes and stuff. So there's some zucchini, this is yellow squash here, and then there's some zucchini in here. We've also got cucumbers right there. Now some of the cucumbers, I don't know what happened. There were more too that died, and I didn't have any trouble last year, so I don't know. I've started some extra because I want 8 plants in our garden. And then I am also giving a couple to my mom because she said she wanted some, so I'm starting some for her. And it's kind of annoying that I had to start more because they're kind of behind. But at the same time, it's almost might be a blessing in disguise, just because it's almost going to be like a succession planting. Because now they won't all start at the same time. Some will be a little behind the others, and hopefully that will help extend our harvest a little bit. So it might be like the planning that I really didn't want to do, maybe nature kind of did it for me. So maybe that will actually work out to be a benefit. Now we've also got lots of tomatoes going on. I mean, y'all know I love tomatoes. I pretty much talk about them in almost every video at some point, especially this time of year, because I really want some. So I won't go through every type we have here. If you want to see everything we're growing, I'll link to the post where I have everything listed out. But we've got so many types. We've also got tomatillos growing, a purple one and a green one. First time doing that, so that should be fun. And overall, I'm just really excited. Now, as always, some things germinated and are growing better than others, so the numbers might get shifted. Like some things, I might have a little more of one type than another just because that one did better and I have more plants of that. So the final counts might not work out as far as the varieties, but I'm still gonna stick with the same total number of plants, if that makes sense. So I was planning for most varieties 2 of each, but some I might just have 1 and then have 3 of another. We'll just see how it works out. I'm not picky. I love all the tomatoes, so whatever wants to grow, then I will go with that. We've also got some basil going on over here, and I mean, I love basil. I really want to try to do a lot more this year, just because fresh herbs are so awesome in the garden. And I mean, if you can grow one thing, I say go with the herbs because they're easy. You can grow them inside if you don't have outdoor space, and they just give so much flavor to your food. They just take everything to the next level. Plus, they're so expensive to buy in the store, and you usually end up wasting half of it anyways, and it rots, and it's a whole thing. So go for the herbs. Do it. You can do it. I promise you can. Also over here, we've got some different melons going. Just some different varieties, green melons, orange melons, watermelons, all of that stuff is in here, which these actually did really well. Quite a few of the varieties, I have more than enough. So I'll probably be giving some of those to family members as well if they want to grow some. I have a really hard time getting rid of plants that are growing, and you're supposed to save the best ones, but so many of them look good, and I'm like, that could be food. So I'm still just trying to make room for it and cram them in there, and then the ones that we can't use, then we'll give to someone else and maybe they can get some food from it. I'm also trying a little bit of Thai basil this year, so that's right here, and so that should be fun. There are so many different kinds of basil, and you can get really into it, but I thought we'd just try the Thai basil this year as an additional variety. And Jason, my husband, really likes Thai food and stuff like that, so maybe it'll be a little more authentic and we can experiment with it and kind of see how it's different from the more traditional basil that most people are familiar with and that you can more easily get in the grocery store, and see how we like it, you know, and compare them a little bit. Then down here we have some of the more cool weather crops that are going to go in the garden soon. I actually would have liked to have them out now, but that's not happening, so we're just going with it. We've got bok choy back here, lacinato kale. I love it when you can see like the first little true leaves because they're so cool, because they look like the big thing but they're just little. And then back here is red Russian kale, which is supposed to be able to tolerate cold temps really well, so I also plan on growing some of those and some of the other cold weather crops into the winter. So we'll see how that goes when the time comes. And then we've got peppers over here doing their thing. They're usually the slowest to germinate, so they're kind of lagging behind everyone else, but you know, we'll just see what happens with those. A word of warning, if you look here, you'll see this, like, this stuff. That's an egg carton. Okay. I had this bright idea, why don't I start my seeds in egg cartons? Because the eggs we buy come in those like paper cartons, they're biodegradable, compostable, and I thought this is a free resource I can use, and then it's supposed to break down when you plant the plants. I would not recommend it. Some people, maybe it works really well, but I didn't have very much success with it, and I think that's why maybe some of my stuff didn't do so well. Yeah, I mean, one thing is that they're not very deep, so for a lot of things, I just think it's not deep enough for the seeds to really, and the roots to really get a good base in there. Also, I should have known this because I tried peat pots last year and I didn't like those either. I still have a couple I'm trying to just work through and deal with this year because I don't want to waste them, but they're very similar to that in that they can get waterlogged, and then a couple of them I had a mold issue. The other thing I don't like is the roots of the plants really grow into the side of the egg carton, so then when they got bigger and it came time to like transplant some of the tomatoes and stuff, it was really hard to do it without damaging the root structure because they were all just wrapped up in that egg carton, and it was hard to separate them out. And so yeah, I won't do that again. You know, gardening's all about experimenting, and I like trying new things and seeing how it goes. That is something, lesson learned, I would not do. So if you're thinking about the egg carton thing, like I said, some people really like it, I guess, or say it works, but I just didn't have good luck with it. So I'll probably go with some sort of plastic reusable thing to start seeds in, because even though it is plastic, I think using plastic strategically is an okay thing. I mean, we can reuse them year after year, and I mean, it's the same thing with these plastic cups. They're cheap, I can get them at the grocery store, and I like them because I can reuse them, you know what I mean? Like, yes, it is plastic and it could be a big waste thing, but if you take care of them, you can use them for a few years, and I don't think it's really that big of a deal. A couple things that didn't do so well, the collards and broccoli and cauliflower, all that stuff came up really strong, and then it just went, it just gone. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it has something to do with these egg cartons, I don't know. So instead of having starts to put out, I'm just going to start them in the ground and see how that goes. They're going to come up later than I would have wanted, but I'm just going to work with it, and we'll just have to see what happens and adjust accordingly. Because with this garden thing, I always go in knowing that things aren't going to go exactly to plan, and we'll just work with it. Another thing too, ground cherries, which are kind of like a tomatillo. They're described as being like a cross between like a tomato and a pineapple flavor. They're sweet. I thought those would be really fun to grow, but I'm having germination problems. They're not germinating like the first ones I planted, so I've planted more, and I planted a lot of extra seeds in there. I only need 2, so hopefully we'll at least get 2 to come up because I really want to try them, and people say they're really delicious. So we'll just have to see they actually want to germinate for me or not. So that's it for this garden update. I hope you liked it, and let me know in the comments what kind of stuff you're growing in your garden if you're planting stuff. I'd love to know how things are going, what kind of stuff you're doing, because I like talking about the plants. I think it's fun. And if you're new to my channel and you want more real food tips and tricks, then make sure that you subscribe, because eating a real foods diet is so important for your health and also just for being able to live the full, vibrant life that you want to live. But I know it's not always easy, especially when you're just starting out. But I also know that if you have the information and the resources and the tools and all that stuff that you need, that you can totally do it. And that's why I make these videos, because I want to make living a real foods lifestyle as easy for you as possible. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your real foods journey. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.